91.3 Real College Radio, RSU Radio in studio. I'm Garrett, joined with the Fabulous Minx. Guys, introduce yourselves and say what you do in your two-person ensemble.
I'm Noah Sears, and I play the drums.
I'm Ryan Daly. I sing and play guitar.
Marvelous. How long have you guys been playing together?
As two of us together, we've been playing for about a year and a half together. We were in a different band called Shake Shake before. We had a girl lead singer, but she is on hiatus right now. So we've been playing as the Fabulous Minx since about January of 2013.
A two-person band. That's something that you don't see very much. What's that like?
It's a lot busier. It's I don't have a lot of time to kind of fiddle around on stage. There was a great luxury with having a lead singer, but it's also, I think, really exciting because it allows us to be really energetic on stage and just kind of feed directly off each other. And it's kind of one of those, the more people you add, the harder it is to get everybody right together, and the less you can differentiate from what you've practiced before. So we can play an extra verse every now and then, or extend the end of a song or something like that, and it gives us a lot more freedom on stage, I think.
You guys were nice enough to play a few songs for us. You guys classify yourselves as Rockabilly. That's something that's been around for a while, and a lot of people may not know exactly what it is. What does it mean to you guys, and what is the definition of a Rockabilly group?
Rockabilly music was a combination of some musicians from the South who combined early rock and roll with the country or hillbilly music that they were used to form a little leaner form of rock and roll. We classify ourselves as Rockabilly as much culturally as musically, probably. Probably culturally it's a little more appropriate. But I think we're kind of hard to pin down into just a Rockabilly style or just a rock and roll style.
A lot of you see the Rockabilly bands with the big stand-up bass. Obviously, we don't have that. We're Rockabilly in the sense that we believe that we're Rockabilly. That's the most of what we.
It's self-proclaimed.
Yeah, that's the most of what we fit into. I mean, we draw a lot on some old school punk. Obviously, it's just rock and roll is really what it is.
It's got some ties here. Wanda Jackson has been called the queen of Rockabilly, and she's from this area. It's more of a throwback. Why do you think it still has the effect that it has, especially in this area? Because most people think of like country or red dirt, and then they have that Rockabilly mix, but it's still a pretty strong genre, especially in the Tulsa scene.
Well, first of all, we got to actually play a festival last weekend, weekend before last?
2 weekends ago.
2 weekends ago in New Mexico with Wanda Jackson, and got to see her again in what amounted to basically the size of a high school gym. It was very small, and she still, outperforms most modern people, which is pretty cool at, I don't know.
She's like 80,
70s, yeah.
80 something, yeah.
But I think that it resonates just because of the energy. I mean, you have to, you think about rock and roll in the 50s, and most people picture poodle skirts and sock hops and high school dances and basically, Back to the Future, like that scene, the Under the Sea dance. But what you kind of forget is that was a super tumultuous time. That was a really violent time of upheaval, especially in the South. And rock and roll music was the original rebellion music, I guess, other than jazz and blues. But it was the product of a lot of uncertainty and of angst, youth's tendency to rebel against what's come before them and the norms and structure of their parents. So I think that energy, and that's really what we're tapping into when we listen to that music and write songs, is less than the sound and the chord structure and all of that stuff. We really want to capture that same energy, that kind of manic. I mean, if you've ever watched a video of Jerry Lee Lewis performing, he's got this manic, crazed energy about him on stage that's even, into his later years, he still had it. And it's just, it's something I think that everyone can relate to, the want to listen to something fast, loud, that you can dance to.
Right, and I think even more to the point is the crowds back then. If you watch the performers, but the crowds, no one acts like a crowd back in the 50s today. You have to be cooler than everybody else. In the 50s, everybody was just, the whole place was alive. And I think bringing about some of that back current, I think that's a good thing. And that's what we're trying to do. it's always going to be relevant to whether you're a teenager, you're a 20-year-old, or a 30-year-old. You're always going to like fast cars. You're always going to like cheap booze. I mean, that's what we kind of try to portray, I guess.
The name, Fabulous Minx. When I first saw it, it made me think of a very fancy mink coat. That's initially what I thought. What does the name come from?
You know, we were trying to come up with names, and I was like, what about the minx, like the animal? And Noah was kind of, he said, I said, well, because you could announce it, you'd be like, the Fabulous Minx. He said, well, why don't we just call it that? So, and then we changed it to an X to make it easier.
To make me happy.
Yeah, to make Noah happy.
I wanted the X,
to make it impossible to Google us, basically.
Right. Exactly.
You have to really know how to spell it to find it.
And a mink spelled with an X usually refers to women.
Right.
So we might as well just make it impossible to find us.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of the names, I ask that question to most of the people that come here, and that's what they say is they're just, we're sitting around and it's just the most random kind of thing, and I think that's how most good band names come about.
You're pretty drunk.
That always helps the creativity process as well. So. Yeah. So you guys definitely have a show coming up with another band that we play here at the station, Oil Boom. Where else can we find you? Where's that show going to be? And kind of give you an opportunity to self-plug, self-promote yourselves.
Sure. Oil Boom, we're playing at the Yeti downtown. It's near Kane's Ballroom. We'll be there on the 28th. And then we'll be back at the Yeti on July 11th with a band called The Loaded Dice, who's another local favorite of ours. And we're actually going to be on Oklahoma Live in Oklahoma City on July 9th. But then you can also find us online, www.thefabulousminx.com.
With an X.
With an X. Facebook, facebook.com/fabulousminx.
No the.
Twitter, @thefabulousminx. And our debut EP, Oh My God, It's the Fabulous Minx, is available on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, anywhere else you can imagine music being, we're there. So
that was another thing I wanted to ask you guys. Getting in the recording process for the EP, for the debut EP, what was that like? What's the recording process like for a Rockabilly style band?
We own our own record label. We are technically artists of Midnight Creeper Records, which is owned by Ryan, and my brother, Notar. And you can see us, all of our other bands and recordings on midnightcreeperrecords.com. Our recording process is pretty low tech. We have wonderful equipment to record with, but it's basically done in a living room. We kind of shut down everything and do it all in pretty much 2 or 3 takes.
It's all done live. For the most part, we play it all live straight through 2 or 3 times and take the best take.
All right, guys, thanks for coming out.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. The Fabulous Minx, you can catch them at a bunch of shows going on online. You can hear a couple songs from their debut EP on RSU Radio as well.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Of course, absolutely. Do what we can for the local bands.
Call in, request it.
343-7913. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Sure.